Thursday, June 20th, Argentina take on Canada at 8 p.m. You can watch on Fox Sports. We are very, very excited. The United States in Group C alongside Uruguay, Panama, and Bolivia. So I think when we look at that group, it's safe to say that we probably all agree Uruguay, the favorites. They're coming off that 4-0 thumping of Mexico. They've looked really, really good under Marcelo Bielsa. What has he done with this team? What has he gotten out of them, Nico?
He's got that extra bit more out of them that was a little bit lackluster in recent past with Uruguay. There's this thing, and I think it's very important because it's a culturalism that defines Uruguay, and everybody in South America knows about it when they go to face Uruguay. It's called, and I've said it on the show many times, La Garra Charrúa. Charrúa is an indigenous peoples of Uruguay, and Garra is claw. So it's that grit, that Uruguayan grit. The intangibles, you know Uruguay is always going to bring it to the table. Always, no matter the circumstance. But with Bielsa, they've sharpened the claws. And they'll sink them in your jugular and kill you.
You didn't have to do that to Sue.
No, but that's how they are.
I felt it.
They have a certain tenacity that they've proved within South America. It is unrivaled. And they've made a lot of players that have been bang on average. I take the greatest example, Pellistri, who couldn't make the cut at Manchester United. He couldn't sniff the field at Manchester United. He looks sensational on Uruguay.
Neither could Jadon Sancho.
Yeah, that's true, but...
It might be for different reasons.
Regardless, you could say that about a number of Manchester United players. Pellistri has always been quality.
Not the
Uruguay.
Conversation.
Right.
Always. It's just United.
He's a Granada, I believe. Now.
No, but it's remarkable because Uruguay, it's 3.5 million people in the entire country.
I've said this so many times. Uruguay has 3.5 million. The city of New York City has 8.5 million. The fact that we cannot develop an 11 for the men's national team just out of this city alone blows my mind when we have more than double the amount of players. Speaking of Garra Charrúa, like the idea of leave it all on the pitch, that is bare minimum of what's required for Uruguay national team. Imagine all 11 literally willing to die on that field, giving you everything. And, you know, back in the day when Luis Suarez, who, you know, may or may not have bitten a few players, people were talking about the mentality. It's the mentality of, like, do whatever it possibly takes to win for your nation, a nation that always feels like they're the underdog, a nation that feels like they're always behind the ball, but they're willing to give it all to win. And they have. They won this competition 15 times. They won the inaugural competition. They've won it 15 times. They are great at this.
And pepper in the Bielsa mentality, the intensity to it all. They're killer in transition. They can move the ball from one side of the field to the other in 5 passes. One of the goals against Mexico was from a goal kick, and it ended up in a goal. And it was just 5 passes. They can cut you up, and they're very vertical. And I compare the way that they feel the crest compared to how some U.S. players showed their conviction for the crest against Colombia. You would never see that with the Uruguayan side.
To give the fans an idea, Uruguay is willing to play all out, right? And you have a team that is willing to run, is willing to press, is willing to do whatever it takes, is willing to defend with their entire body. And then add to that, you know, someone who's a little crazy like a Marcelo Bielsa. It's like adding Pop Rocks to hot wings. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know that I need it, but all of a sudden I'm having a good time. You know what I mean? I'm having a blast.
That is a flavor explosion.
Yes, it absolutely is. It's wild.
Well, you mentioned guys that show up for their national team, and for Uruguay, Darwin Núñez is the epitome of that, a perfect example. He's got, under Bielsa, in 7 matches, he has 8 goals and 3 assists. I mean, he plays out of his mind. The guy can't stop scoring goals when he is playing for his country. What's the difference there, Charlie, between club and country? And mind you, I don't want to take away anything he did at Liverpool, because I think he scored 11 goals for them in Premier League. So it's not like he wasn't producing.
And he was in the right spots.
Yes.
That comes down to
did all the work.
And finishing and all that. But yeah, I mean, Darwin Núñez is comfortable. They play to Darwin Núñez, whereas Darwin Núñez feels like he's, you know, maybe second, third, fourth option at Liverpool in the attack. And I just feel that he never settled in front of goal. It was always rushed. And when you have that, it's very tough to get into a rhythm in front of goal. With Uruguay, he's not rushed. He's like, I don't have to think about, you know, coming off the pitch. I don't have to worry about, you know, pleasing Mohamed Salah or pleasing the players around me. I can just focus on me getting in front of goal and being a terror. But you also can't talk about Uruguay without talking about Federico Valverde. I mean, this is one of the premier players who made such an impact at Real Madrid, given all the quality around him, that I'm going to be on this pitch no matter what, because I don't get tired. I run from end line to end line. And
Mind you, he didn't play against Mexico.
Yeah.
Yeah. You
didn't need him. And Ugarte plays well for Uruguay, where I'm not necessarily sure he's the best player on this club team.
And neither did Araujo. So,
yeah.
You know, when you're looking at these players, Uruguay is stacked.
Mm-hmm. So when it comes to betting odds, Uruguay is the third favorite behind Argentina and Brazil to win Copa América. Would we agree, Alexis,
Yeah.
that seems...
That sounds about right.
About right?
Yeah, especially if you think back to a World Cup qualifying, Uruguay has the goods to be right there in the top three. I don't know if they have what it takes to consistently beat an Argentina or Brazil, but they're certainly going to give it their all. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun one to watch.
With the sample size from not only World Cup qualifiers, but from the last friendly, I'm very interested to see how Brazil comes out against the U.S., because they weren't great against Mexico. Mind you, it was their subs, but just the mentality of it all.
Well, they came out and they were up 2-0.
They were 2-0, they turned it off a little bit.
Yes, they turned it off.
Right, and you don't expect that from Brazil. You don't. When have we said, oh, Brazil, they turn it off? And nah. Brazil, they'll dance around you with their C team. They beat Argentina's Marcelo Bielsa in the Copa América with their B team. They cooked. No, they cooked them. They took it to penalty kicks, but they were good enough back then. We shouldn't be saying that about a very talented Brazil side now. So, given that, I think they're favorites to beat Brazil on that side of the bracket and get to a final potentially against an Argentina.
Okay, quickly, looking at Group C, we said Uruguay the favorite. Can Panama or Bolivia at all, is there any cause for concern for the U.S.? I mean, Panama is a team that we've lost to in recent memory. It's
in
not,
Panama.
I feel that's the one match I feel like that could potentially be a stumbling block.
And it shouldn't.
Yeah.
No.
It should not. When you're looking at Bolivia and Panama, these are two nations that, yeah, they're going to play tough, but we should get by them without any issues.
Okay.
We should.
We should.
We should have done that against Jamaica.
Right.
We should have.
Exactly.
And the U.S. shouldn't underestimate these two rivals.
Yes.
They're going to play like it's their World Cup final, because for them it is their World Cup
Absolutely.
final.
Bolivia, we should expect to beat pretty handily. They're not playing in the sky like they play at home. Marcelo Martins is not there, who's their top scorer. This should be a team that we should, not easily, but we should not be considering a draw or anything. This is a win.
But a team that Panama should beat.
Oh, yeah, Panama should be Bolivia. Yeah, Bolivia will be bottom of the group unless something catastrophic happens.
Should. All right.
We've got players that can't, it's like a field trip. They can't even get their documents signed. Come on. We should beat them.